with color in it?
The cabinet here?
Hello, we're live. Did you forget your colors?
Yeah. No, just some. No, I'm good.
Get husband to the rescue.
Yeah, that's right.
He can peek in here and say hello to everybody.
He's been working out in the garage. He probably doesn't want to.
Most husbands don't want to do that, actually, do they? They don't want to hop on. Hello. Hi, Amy. Donna's here. Donna Armstrong. I don't know if you you're gonna probably know several people who hop on here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, let me come on and let me make sure we're on over here. All right, good. So, hi, Jenny. Hello, Sangeeta from Waterloo, Canada. So, lots of people hopping on from all over the place. We have Lauren with us, Lauren Jacobs. She is the Cheerful Baker, and she's always got a smile on her face. So, yeah, we love cheerful people. The world needs more happy, and that's what Lauren and I were just talking about. More happy and more people lifting each other up rather than tearing each other down. So,
yes.
Yeah. So I'm Nancy Westfall from The Colorful Cookie. This is Lauren, the Cheerful Baker. And she also has Cheerful Cutters and Etsy shop, so you can find her cutters there. She has drawn some clip art for me for my club. And I said, let's go live. Whoop. What was that? Something beep. Did you hear that? That is so weird. That was a weird beep. Oh, someone sent stars. Every time I hear that beep, I always say, what was that? And I think it's my software. That was Mary sending me stars. Thank you, Mary. Anyway, where was I? I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh,
I have a Cheerful cutter shop.
Yeah, she has a Cheerful cutter shop. And she drew some artwork for the club. I asked her to do that because I can just kind of draw, not very well. And Lauren is was an elementary art teacher, and I was an elementary teacher too. So we have that in common. And so I said, we could go live together and do a tutorial and share it into the groups and on your page. So we should be live just about every page and every group that I have, and Lauren's page also. So feel free to share this with your cookie friends. Anyhow, so Lauren is very generous, and I am going to show you how to make a cookie cutter out of one of her designs. And then if you're in the club, I'll be sharing those designs with you. But if you don't have a 3D printer and you're watching, you're not in the club, you can buy these cutters from Lauren in her Etsy shop. She's going to be decorating 3 cookies, Lauren? 3?
Yes.
There they are.
3-ish.
Okay. So she's going to be decorating for us after I show you the tutorial of how to make the cookie cutter using Cookie-A-Thon. We're going to keep it super simple, especially for beginners out there who are starting or interested in learning to make cookie cutters. And of course, anybody interested in decorating cookies. That's why Lauren's here. Hi, Maxine.
Can I tell you a surprise that I didn't even tell you?
Yes, what?
So after I get off the live tonight, anybody that is watching can go to my Etsy shop and put in the code Nancy and get 50% off any STL file.
Woohoo!
So if you have until tomorrow night at this time.
Thank you.
24 hours, Nancy. That way, if they have a 3D printer and they just want to grab a couple files.
Yeah. So
they can get it.
The code is Nancy.
Nancy.
Is it all lowercase, uppercase? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters. We'll do it all lowercase. Okay. Now, I haven't put it in yet because this idea just came to me, and I thought we have to do something fun. So after the broadcast.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. We appreciate that. So you guys can go grab the STL files in Lauren's shop for half off. Thank you, Lauren. Gosh.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. Can we use those just to cut by hand as well? Well, I don't have the art for you to trace to cut by hand. So you'll need the cutter or the STL file to make your own cutter. Can you guys hear my holiday music in the background? You don't hear that? Alexa's playing crazy music. Alexa, turn off. Sorry, I forgot to turn off my Christmas.
That darn Alexa.
I forgot to turn off my Christmas music. All right. So Lauren, you're from Kentucky. You're a former
Yep.
elementary art teacher. I'm
Yes.
just telling what I know about you. Lauren and I just met for the first time tonight. I've heard of her sometimes, and I've always thought, I love her cookie name. That's really fun, and I just love it. It's happy. So anyway, I'm glad we've gotten this chance to get together, and hopefully I will be able to meet you at some point at a cookie con. Were you in Dallas?
Yes, I was.
Because Cindy, my friend, my other cookie friend, Cynthia ran it
Yes, I
every
met
week.
Cindy.
Well,
We had dinner together.
she said she met you, and I said, I don't think I've ever met her, but I'm going to meet her tonight. So, anyway, maybe if you come to another cookie con, we'll get to meet face to face. So
Yes.
so now that I've told a little bit about you, you can go into a little more detail and just talk about your shop. And everybody always wants to know how people get started. You want to share that?
Okay, so how did I get started? I'm very artistic, and I used to be an elementary art teacher. Plus, I had a business where I went around and I showed women how to paint scriptures on canvases along with pictures in their homes.
Okay.
Because I just wanted to get more of Jesus in people's houses. So I started by doing that.
Amen.
Ooh, something just happened, Stacy. Amen.
Hey, when you said Jesus, the lights flickered.
Oh, I just unplugged my light. Well, I'll plug it back in.
Well,
Because I'm
amen
back
to
and
that.
forth when I'm talking. But hold on, let me plug my light in. So anyway, a friend of mine, let there be light. A friend of mine put these really pretty cookies on Instagram. This is 5 years ago. And so I called her. I said, how did you make those cookies? Because those are really pretty. And she told me about an online class, and it was the Flower Box Bakery class. Yes, and she said, you ought to do that. You're already painting, and it's sort of like painting, only you're using icing. And I thought, okay, why not? I mean, that would be fun. Like I said, if it's artistic, I'll try it.
Yeah.
So I did it, and it came, semi easily. Not super easily. The artistic part came pretty easily, but the royal icing consistency did not come easily at all. So after lots of practice, I told my husband, I said, I'm going to start a cookie business. And he's awesome. I mean, he's the best, but he was like, okay, if you want to. So I put these cookies out for sale, and they were not good. I mean, they were awful looking. I look back at them now, but I thought they were fantastic, and I was super proud. And some of my friends, bless their little hearts, bought them. And then it just kept going from there. And before I knew it, I was making lots of cookies. And my husband almost died. His appendix burst, and it was misdiagnosed. So that sort of made me reevaluate what I was doing with my life. And I thought, God has gifted me with this artistic talent, and I need to really be doing something. Not that I wasn't, because I was an art teacher, but I also just wanted to spend more time at home. Because he was working from home, and we have two sons, and one was a senior in high school. He's in college now, and then a 16-year-old. So it just kind of all fell into place, and I have a lot of faith. And I thought, if it's meant to be, it's going to work out, and it really worked out. And so that's how I started. And then my husband always wanted a 3D printer because he is a systems engineer for Valvoline, and he always wanted one, but he's very cheap. He's very cheap. So he didn't want to buy one. And one day I said, you know what? I think if I learned how to make cookie cutters, you could buy a printer. So the next day we had a printer in our house. And that's how it started. And through, I'm pretty computer savvy, and so is he. And so I just started making cookie cutters, and I thought, man, this is fun. Designing your own cookie cutters is fun. So now, quite honestly, I like designing the cookie cutters. I like the cookie cutter shop better than anything else, because I'm getting old, Nancy, and leaning over those cookies and decorating them is hard on my back.
Yep. That hurts, doesn't it? And actually, I thought the same thing, but now I sit hours right here, hours, sometimes 12 hours a day. And during Cookie-A-Thon and right before, even more than that. But nobody will understand this, I don't think, unless you design like all day long like I do. This bone right here is so sore, and my arm sometimes aches like it's gonna fall off, because
Oh,
because I'm sitting here using my trackpad and designing and
yes.
typing. And anyway, so I know how you feel about getting old and hurting in places that you would not normally hurt.
Yes. But I teach classes too in my town, and that's my love language. I love people and I love being around people. And the thing I loved about teaching, and I'm sure you felt like this, is when the light bulb would go off in someone's eyes, especially when they're real little, and you taught them that was the greatest feeling in the world. So I love teaching cookie classes because I love seeing the look of happiness that comes over somebody's face when they create something themselves. So,
And that's how I love teaching kids. I absolutely loved it. And I love that light bulb moment. And online, I say the same thing. I love it when the light bulb comes on. I can't see their face, but I can see their post, and I can just feel their excitement right through the computer screen when they learn
yeah,
how
it's a
to
good
design
feeling.
something. Yeah, but I feel the same way as you do. I enjoy it so much. Stencils are my first love. I love designing stencils. And then I got into cookie cutters, and I love doing that. And then I got into so many other things. Machines
You're
are,
like me.
oh yes, these machines, they're so fantastic. These cutting machines can do anything. And then I got, into Procreate, using that on my iPad to draw, which I'm sure you know all about Procreate. I love Procreate. It's so much fun, even though I can't draw very well. That's why I asked you to draw me some artwork.
I'm going to tell this little story just real quick. So, my son, because maybe it will help somebody, my son has dyslexia, severe dyslexia, the one who's in college. So, to say that school is a nightmare for him
Understatement.
is yeah, the understatement of the world. So anyway, when COVID hit, I'd written this little story a couple of years, I mean, like 5 years ago. I just wrote a story. And when COVID hit, I thought, I'm going to buy the Procreate app. I didn't even know that you could design cookies or cookie cutters on it. I wanted to be able to do the book, do the pictures in the book. Illustrate, that's the word I'm looking for. Illustrate the book. So anyway, I started figuring out that I couldn't do that. I wasn't good enough. So I found an illustrator, and I gave my son the book for Christmas, which was really exciting. But through all that, I learned how to do Procreate. And Procreate don't you think it's a great stress reliever?
Oh,
Because even if you can't really draw, there's all these brushes who do it that do it for you.
it's
And do you teach Procreate classes?
I do teach Procreate in the club. In fact, I just made 2 new tutorials today.
Okay,
I
if you're
love
watching this from my page, go join the club, because Procreate it's so much fun, and it's anybody can do it.
it.
It's amazingly easy when you know what to do.
It's hard at first for people when they don't understand, the concept of layers, and just just like when you're learning to design anything. But the club is open for enrollment in January. It's not open all the time, so certainly I'd love to have people join us in January when it comes open. You can get on a wait list at thecolorfulcookie.com. But I'm teaching a Procreate class at CookieCon that's going to be like a deep dive into Procreate, intensive, learn everything about it.
That's great.
For Cookier specifically. But anyway, it's an excellent app, and I have not bought your book, but I read about it, and I love that. I think that's really neat. And
Thank you.
I'm familiar with dyslexia because I taught kindergarten and
Yeah.
first grade, and I taught fifth grade, and and I taught many grades, and I know all about it. So
Yeah.
yes. So let's see if anybody has any questions. While I've been talking, I haven't been watching. Usually I'm watching this. Okay. All right. They're saying thank you for the coupon code. Let me scroll down here. Oh, no, Pearl, you can't cut STL files by hand. You won't be able to use them for that. If you cut something, I thought you meant cut with, hand cut your dough. You'll have to explain more about what you mean there. Cindy's here. Hey, Cindy. She's saying hello. see the comments. I can't. Amy, her Etsy shop is Cheerful Cutters, and I have all the links when Lauren is decorating, or when I'm doing my tutorial. She can't post unless. Are you on your computer watching the live at the same time, Lauren? Or no?
No, okay. I'm not that tech savvy.
I've got 4 devices right here, and I can see you on all of them. Okay. So, I will put I'll put your links in here in the comments, guys. I have them, and I even put them in the event, and I put them, I think, in the description of this live. So maybe take a look there. Hey, Karen's here. She says she sat next to you when you were teaching the watercolor breakout at Cookie-A-Thon, and you were so sweet. Karen Villa, do you know her?
Aww.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was next to you when the little girl with the princess dress came over. What's the name of your book? She said.
Yes. My book is called The Boy Who Lost His Colors.
Boy Who Lost His Colors. Okay. You can go if you. So, Lauren, is your book? Is it on Amazon or is it in your shop?
It is.
I thought I found it on Amazon.
Yeah.
So maybe you can either add that link later, or I can maybe look it up when you're decorating. So
okay.
So all right, Lauren, is there anything else you want to talk about before we go right into the cutter design?
No.
No, Lauren, I bet we could probably talk all night long.
Well, I didn't. Okay, so here's my little happy bit of information for you all. Listen, don't be, like I was telling Nancy, I said, you're a go-getter. You're a hard worker. And I'm a hard worker too. And I think one reason that we've both been successful at what we do is we just weren't afraid to jump in there and do it. Right, Nancy? Yeah. So if you are watching this and you're thinking, I want to have a cookie cutter business, or I want to learn how to make cookie cutters, or I want to be better at decorating, well, just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, just believe that you can, and you can. And people are competitive sometimes in this industry. They're like, I can't do cookies like her, so I'm just not going to do it. And I'm like, just do your own thing.
That's the thing that people always ask me, God, or say what you did. Gosh, you are a go-getter. I hear that a lot. And I think I'm just determined, and I don't know that I'm going to succeed at something. I'm just not afraid to try.
Right, me too.
I think that's important. I failed at many things. I have had things fail as I've started this business, and all I did was change it to do something different, to make it better. I mean, even I got lots of club members here who have been around from the very, very beginning, and they're still with me. They're so loyal. And I just love my club so much. But, they've seen me fail at some things. And there are days when I feel like I'm not doing enough, or, this person needed help and I wasn't able to help them, but I do have to sleep. I finally realized that. But I think just not being afraid to fail is important. And, I know people are super hard on themselves. And I'm hard on myself too. But the difference in me being hard on myself and someone being hard on themselves and not moving forward is that I know I'm going to fail. I'm hard on myself. I'll just try to do better. And I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And that's basically what I've done, because I did not know where the club would take me. I did it for 2 years and just had fun with it and enjoyed it. And then it just took over my life, is what I tell everybody. And that's true. It really did. And it still does. And then I started Cookie-A-Thon. And I never knew Cookie-A-Thon would become something super popular. It was just for fun. So you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to put one foot in front of the other. You can't be too hard on yourself. And you need to just, be like the little engine that could, basically.
That's right.
I think I can. I think I can. And that's what you have to do. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's really simple. It's just hard for some people to grasp. So
right.
Yes. So let me and Lauren encourage you to step out there and do whatever you want to do, just try it. If you don't fail,
Yes.
make a change. If you fail, make a change and just try something different. Just keep on heading towards your goal. That's what I do. So, all right, you guys, there's your bit of advice for tonight. Okay, so let me show you. You won't see Lauren for a little bit. She'll be here, but she's gonna be hidden for a minute because I'm going to show you Silhouette Studio and how I changed this graphic. And even if you have the free basic edition of Silhouette Studio, this can be done. You don't have to have a Cameo to have this software. You can download the software. It's free, this version. And I'll show you a couple of ways to get this clip art changed so we can add it to Cookie-A-Thon. Okay? All right, here we go. I always have to say, I have like 30 windows here in front of me. So let me find the right screen and pull everything up. And then you will be able to see it shortly. Okay, now you can see it. Hold on. Okay, there we go. And even when I do that, I still have several screens in front of me. And you might see my cursor moving, but that's because I'm moving windows around. All right, here is Lauren's artwork. This little guy is so cute. And she had 2 or 3 things, but I chose to make the cutter out of this one. And you can see the image of the cookie cutter right here. And this was just me putting it in here, and this was the picture I shared with you guys. So I'm going to move all this over. There's my outline. Move that over. And I will put a link in the comments to this free software in case you don't have it. You won't be able to see it, but I have Lauren's image off to the side on my desktop. And when you want to bring something into Silhouette Studio, after you open it up, you'll have a blank canvas. This is not blank, of course you see this, but you'll have a blank canvas in here. It will actually look just like this. It'll be blank. And the page setup panel will be here, and I'm going to close that so we have nothing in our way. And I'm going to drag the clip art in right off of my desktop. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to come right up here to File, and you can click Open, and you can locate that image on your computer, and it will open in a new workspace. All right. So let me. Oh, wait a minute. That's one that that's not the one I want. This one is the one we're going to use for Cookie-A-Thon. We want this one. Her artwork that she drew. Hang on. Let me drag him in here. There he is. Now he comes in really large. Let me zoom out so I can show you how large he is. And that's because he was saved at a high resolution. And I'm not sure exactly what resolution, but he comes in big. That's perfectly okay. We're going to come right up here to the top, and you can see width and height. We're going to change this because I want it to be smaller. I'm going to change it to 5. And when I hit enter, the height is going to change also. It will stay in proportion because this lock is closed. So I'll hit enter on my keyboard, and you'll see it get smaller. Now it's 5 by 5. I'm going to super zoom in here, and that's just what I call it. It's not really called that, but I click this little icon right up here, and I wish my cursor had a highlighter on it during these lives, but it doesn't. I'll click on the super zoom tool. Again, that's my name for it. I'm going to click and drag over the snowman, and boom, I'm going to be right in close on him. We need to trace him because we want to get his outline. So I'm going to come right over here on the right-hand side, and you can see this little butterfly icon. It turns blue when I select it, and that's the trace panel. I'm going to pull it right here next to this, and I'm going to even zoom in closer, and hopefully that'll get it close on your screen. Okay, so select trace area is what I want to do. I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to click and drag over the snowman, and you're going to see this gray box right over the top of him, and he's going to partially turn yellow. And that is a trace, but it's not what I want. I want a better trace than that. So I'm going to take the slider bar, and I'm going to up the threshold here. And once I get a good trace, I'm only looking at the outside edge of him. That's all I'm going to trace is the outer edge for this cookie cutter. See right here, it says trace outer edge. If I click trace, it would trace everything, but I want to trace the outer edge. And then I can pull the clip art away and I'm left with this outline. Now you may not be able to see that, but what I'm gonna do is come right up here, and this is my fill tool, and I'm going to fill it with black. And I'm also going to make the lines black. This is a quick access panel, and you can change the colors here. You can also fill right here with this paint palette on the right-hand side. This is the fill tool. The line right here underneath is the line style. These two, you can do that here, but sometimes, you know, this is just much faster to come up here and do that. All right, now I'm gonna zoom back out, and I'm gonna get rid of the trace panel by clicking the X. I'm gonna get rid of these. I have a tendency, you guys, of really junking up my work area, and sometimes that's overwhelming for people because I get a lot of images and things going in here. But this is the outline for the Snowman cutter. Now, if you don't like these straight lines for your cutter, you can soften them. I'm okay with these like they are, but if you wanted to soften these lines and not have them be, you know, so straight, and you wanted to make your cutter just a little bigger than the Snowman clip art itself, you can offset this, and that is the star icon right here. You can click offset with this selected and see how that put a line around him, although it's really, it's too big around him. So this is the offset panel right here in the upper right hand corner, and that's the star icon here. Right now it's offsetting 2/10 of an inch. I'm going to make it 1/10 of an inch, and I'm not going to hit apply yet. I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard, and that's a little bit better. I could even do, you know, if I wanted to do 0.05, I could, but let me just click apply here and show you the difference. I'm going to pull this off to the side. I'm going to click the offset, and now I'm going to fill it with color and decide which one I like better. Okay. So if you're a person who doesn't like sharp edges on your cutter, because we're putting this into Cookie-A-Thon, you know, if it were Fusion 360 that we were using, we could, you know, soften the edges there and we could use this. But let's use this one since it's kind of got some softer corners. All right, that is 4.205. Lauren made these to fit into a BRP box, 5 by 12, I think. I can't remember. And I believe if I read her description, because I wanted to make sure I made these about the same size as hers, she said they were about 4 inches tall. So this one is 4.2. I'm going to go down and make that 4 inches tall. And then, let's see. That's going to be 4 by 3. Ooh, that's a nice size cookie for me because I like big cookies. And I cannot lie. That's what I always like to say that. Okay. All right. With this selected, if you have the business edition of Silhouette Studio, you can go to File, and you can click right here, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, because it's selected. I only want to save this. And I'm going to go to my desktop. It's untitled. I'm going to call this Snowman. And for some reason, I don't know why my computer keeps trying to... You see how it keeps... Oh, can you see that? Yes, you can. With the most recent update, I've been having this issue, so I've got to figure that out. I'm going to come right down here, and I'm going to save it as a PNG file, and you need Business Edition to be able to export as that. So now I'm going to come up here and try to get rid of the PNG, and all that. There we go. All right. Now I can click OK to save it. And I want a transparent background, and 150 dots per inch is fine. I'll click save. Now that's on my desktop. If you do not have the business edition and you've done this, all you have to do on a Mac is take a screenshot. On a PC, you can take a screenshot. I think on a PC, that's the snippet tool. On a Mac, that's Shift Command 4. Your cursor becomes a bullseye. You click and drag. and the screenshot shows up right down here in the corner, and it saves automatically to my desktop. Okay, super easy. That part's simple. So next thing we're gonna do is let me pull up Cookie-A-Thon and switch my screen here to Cookie-A-Thon. Hold on. I believe that's it. There it is. And now let's bring this design into Cookie-A-Thon. Now, Cookie-A-Thon is great, especially for people who are beginning or want to learn how to design cookie cutters, think they might want a 3D printer. Cookie-A-Thon is a great beginner program. And it's even good for people who are even, have experience. It's just super easy and super fast. All right, so you can see I have a premium membership. That means I have a library that I can upload my designs into. You can see these are all from tutorials that I've done for the club or for other classes that I've taught. But right here is the bauble wreath Lauren's going to decorate. I already brought it in here. And here's the snowman. And I did the sharper corners for this one. But now we're going to do the one with softer corners. So I'm going to go back to designer. I'm going to, it says click here or drag files to upload. So I'm going to click here and I want to go to my desktop and I want this one right here, Snowman PNG is the one we just saved. And I'm going to click open and it's going to bring in my cookie cutter. And it's going to start creating the model for me. Now, I have trackpad. So I scroll in and out, and you can probably do the same thing with a mouse wheel. And I use one finger and click and drag this around. Now, these are not my settings I like. These are the default settings in Cookie-A-Thon. But I like mine to be right here. First of all, we have to change the size, and we want to make a cutter. These are all the things, you guys, that Cookie-A-Thon can do, especially if you see these little stars. These are the premium membership, but Cookie-A-Thon can do some pretty amazing things. Nathan Apter he's the creator of Cookie-A-Thon, and his wife Melissa, if you know them, Little Miss Cakes. He actually came up with this, and they do this together. And I love their filament. It's great filament. That's pretty much all I use. So I'm going to click inches, and for size, remember we made it 4 inches. So I want to make sure I have 4 inches on the longest side, and that's going to keep this cutter in proportion with, the image that I created. So I want my depth to be 17. Now this is what I like. You can do these any way you want, but I like for this blade from here to here to be 17. The thickness is 0.8. I want an extra blade just for support and to kind of create a cutting edge. So for that, I make the depth of my extra blade 15 and I leave the thickness at 0.4. The handle, you can see this right here, that just kind of made a cutting edge. And now I cannot, sometimes you see those cutters that have those sharp, tapered cutting edge. You can't do that in Cookie-A-Thon, not yet anyway. But this creates a nice sharp cutting edge and it's very sturdy. This is a sturdy cutter. This is what I always use for my settings. So the handle from here to here is the height and the handle from here to here is the width. This is plenty good enough for a sturdy cutter, but if you want to increase these, you can. I just normally do not. So there's the cutter. I can move it all around just by dragging my fingers on my trackpad, okay? There he is. Oh, and Cookie-A-Thon automatically will mirror him for you. Then I have 2 options here. I can download the STL file, which I will. I can also click this, share link. And if I share this link, you can actually click it, come into Cookie-A-Thon. This cutter will open up and you can make changes to the settings if you want to. And this is available even with the free version of Cookie-A-Thon. Cookie-A-Thon is free. I just have the premium because I like to play around with all these extra things that you see here. and I like to have my library, and that's part of the premium membership. But Cookie-Cat is free to model your cookie cutters just like this, just like I've shown you here. So I'm going to click download STL, and the STL file is what we need to put into our slicing software. And the slicing software, let me save this to my desktop. The slicing software is what prepares the file to go into our 3D printer on the SD card. It creates a G code. So let me explain that a little better and go on to the slicing software. I'll pull it up here so that you can watch me slice this. Okay, my computer's thinking. Hang on just a second. I may need to close some windows. All right, this is the Prusa slicer. I love this slicer. It makes beautiful cutters. And you'll see I'm going to bring in the STL file, and I'm going to be exporting that as a G code. The G code is what my 3D printer reads. So I'm going to click this plus sign to add the STL file. And I need to go to my desktop, and right here you can see the snowman. See it? Now, if I press the space bar, it's going to bring the snowman up, and I can flip him around and look at him. So the space bar is a nice tip for you. If you want to see what a file is close up, you can actually just click once and press your space bar. Now let's click open. And that's going to come right into my slicer software. And you can see on my trackpad, I'm pulling my finger, moving it around so that I can get a nice view of this cutter. Now, I haven't sliced it yet, but this cutter looks really nice. It's perfect. To slice this, in the lower right-hand corner, I can click Slice Now. Yeah, that's my dog, you guys, just coughing. You can see I have printer settings for my CR6 SE right up here chosen. And I'm going to click Slice Now, and you're going to see this cutter being sliced. It has to think for just a second. You can see my little slider bar down here in the right-hand corner going back and forth. There's my cookie cutter all sliced. And the green is called the skirt. That lays down some PLA so that I can see what kind of a print I'm going to get. But this cutter now has been sliced. Each one of these little layers here is called the slice. That's every time the printer, the extruder on the 3D printer goes around and around, it's a slice. Now I'm going to show you this little slider bar. I can see the different times as the cutter is being sliced. I can see it printing virtually right here. Now I want to click Export G Code down here in the lower right hand corner. Oh, and by the way, you can see I'm using 4.4 meters of filament, 13.12 grams. It's going to cost me 26 cents. And I put in the cost of my filament in my software so it figures this. It's going to take 1 hour and 14 minutes to print. I'm going to click Export G Code. And I'm going to go back to my desktop because that's where I'm saving it. Snowman Cookie-Cat, 1 hour, 14 minutes. That's what it's going to be named. And I'm going to put CB for Cheerful Baker so that I know it came from Lauren. And I'll click Save. And obviously that's saved to my desktop. But I'm gonna bring you back to me here so that I can talk to you for just a minute about me and not Lauren, just me. Hold on, just me. She'll be back. So this little SD card is what goes into my printer. I put the G code on this little SD card. I did not do that because it's not in my computer. I wanted to show it to you, but I put the G code on here, stick it in my printer, and press print, and in 1 hour and 14 minutes I have a cookie cutter. Now, I say that like it's nothing, and it's very easy to design in Cookie-Cat. The tricky part about printers is they're finicky, and they sometimes get messed up, and it takes patience to fix them. Right now, my CR6 SE is not extruding correctly. I haven't had a chance to work on it. I did last week, but I'm not going to say that 3D printers are easy to get along with. They're a lot harder to get along with than cutting machines. Cutting machines are a cinch. But the design process for stencils takes a little bit longer. So we're just flipping it on 3D printers. So anyway, hi Laura, I see you there. So basically, designing cookie cutters is fun and it can be a really simple process. The challenge is going to be, getting the 3D printer to cooperate. But you can do that. If I can do that, anybody can do that. It's not hard. It just takes patience. Let me say that. Okay, so let's bring Lauren back on here. Hold on, Lauren. I got to turn you. There you go. So anyway, Lauren, is that cutter in the set, or he's in the set, isn't he? Just the snowman head?
Yeah, yes, he's
okay.
I happen to have them right here.
Oh, he's
the
so
snowman
cute.
head,
yes.
the sign, and the bubble wreath.
Okay. So is he 4 inches tall? Because that's when I went to your site, I looked at the size and it said about 4 inches. Okay, good.
Yes. I design a lot of my cutter sets to fit the 12 by 5 boxes to go together. Because sometimes when you're looking at cookie cutter sites, you're like, I don't know what size to put these in, box to put these in, and which ones will go together. So I try and make that easy for people.
I knew it was 12 by something, but I couldn't remember if it was 12 by 6 or 12 by 5. I don't buy many boxes anymore. There we go. And I have the link for those boxes that I'll put in the comments too when you're decorating.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put it only on you, and Lauren's going to turn her phone down so that you can watch her decorate. And I will be posting those things here for them in the comments. So if you guys are looking for the links, they will be here shortly. All right. Okay, Lauren, yes. You're on.
Okay. Let's see. Let's make sure. See what we need to see. Yes, there we go. Okay. So, I think, let's see, can I zoom in? Oh, I can. Okay, this is awesome. This software is a little bit different than what I use, but that's awesome. Let me show you the cookies. This is the one that Nancy just showed you. And we're not going to, let's see, I'm trying to figure out where to, there we go. Hold on. Okay, there's a little lag. I'm not going to decorate this one, but I'm going to add a little bit to it. I'm going to actually decorate the wreath, and then you'll see how you would decorate him as well, because it's the same for both cookies. So we'll go ahead and get started decorating the wreath. I think everybody can see right there. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to use the wet on wet technique, which is the easiest technique, especially for new cookie decorators. Well, really for anybody. You can make a cookie super fast. So I always use 2 consistencies of icing. I use a piping consistency, which is like toothpaste. And then I also use the flooding consistency, which mine is sort of like Mod Podge. It plops into the bowl. It doesn't run into the bowl. I like it to be a little thicker because then it still smooths out, which you'll see, but it does not run over the edge. The most time-consuming part of this cookie is doing all these little scallops at the edge. Now, you could do this on a round cookie or an oval cookie, but I like all the little shapes on the side. I think it just makes it interesting. I designed these cookie cutters after going shopping, and I saw a bubble wreath. And I thought, I don't even know if that's the name of them, but I thought, oh my gosh, that would be the cutest cookie ever. So now what I do is I have my colors. I have white flood icing. I have light blue. I have red, yellow, and green. And when I flood my cookie, you have to be a little bit quick with putting your circles on top. Because if you do it slowly and your icing sets up, then your circles are not going to be flat. But that's okay because it's just a cookie and we're going to eat it when we're done. Okay, so I'm just going to fill this in with white. And let me tell you all, when we're doing our dots on top, the one thing we want to do is we want to just add the color to the top of our icing. We don't actually want to put it down in our icing because then every time, we don't want to put the tip down in our icing because every time we, if we do that, we'll have a little bubble. Okay, so I'm just going to flatten this out. Now you can see it's still a little bit thick because it doesn't completely flatten out. That's how I like it. Okay, so I'm just going to shake it a little bit with my scribe. Make sure, let me look at it, make sure y'all can still see it. Now, I have my icing ready and all my bags are cut. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the top of my cookie and I'm just going to add color. Now I'm making a circle and then I'm going to fill it in, but I'm not sticking my the end of my tip down into my icing. And there's no right or wrong way to do this, but I always like things in odd numbers. So I'm going to do 3 blues. Then I'm going to go in with my yellow. Did I cut my yellow? Yes, I did. And maybe I'll make a bigger one. And again, I'm just putting the color on top of the white instead of down in the white because I don't want the icing to fall over the side of the cookie. And I also don't want a bump. Okay, so see how I'm going kind of around the cookie in 3s? For some reason, 3 is always a good design number. Things look better in odd numbers. Now this time I'm going to use 5 instead of 3. And honestly, there's no rhyme or reason. You just do it however you want. Everybody's cookie will look different. You can make big circles. You could make small circles. You can use whatever colors you want to use. But I thought that this was so much fun. Now, you could also do this cookie and have the dots on top raised. But I find that's more difficult because I can never get the dots to stay circular. In fact, these dots aren't really that circular. But that's fine. Okay, what other color do I need a little bit more of? Maybe a little bit more blue. So, and notice I'm not going completely to the edge with my colors because I don't want my icing to overflow. Now, we're done. We could add, you could keep going. As long as you're sticking your icing just on the top of the cookie, you're going to be good. You're not going to have overflow. I shouldn't have put that red on top of the red, so I'm going to do a little yellow in there with it. Okay, so I am done with that cookie. See how easy that was? Now I could keep looking and I could say, I need to add another one here. I need to add another one there. But this is all I'm going to do for this. Now you could write a word on the inside. You could write joy. You could put an initial on it when it dries, which would be super duper duper cute. I need another one right here. It's bugging me. Okay, so this wreath cookie is done. See how easy that was? So now I'm going to go to the snowman cookie. I hope you all can see okay. with this crazy light that I have, but I think you can. And I'm going to explain to you how I did this, and then I'm going to show you how you can add a little bit more dimension to it. So if you flip it over, you can see what the cookie looked like, you know, before it was decorated. What I would do first is I would do the face, and then I would let that dry, crust over maybe 10 minutes. And then once you do the face, you would fill in this whole area underneath here with white. And you're just going to do exactly what I just did with the wreath on the bottom of the scarf. See how I did that? Exactly the same. And then you're going to do his hat, and you're going to let it dry just a little bit. And then you're going to do the top of his hat. So it adds a little bit of dimension. I did not do that, so there's not enough dimension there. So what I would do is I would take my black, let me cut my black, and I would, you know, go around the edge of his hat, just so it's just a little bit, you know, you just have, it's just a little bit more oomph. So I'm going to outline his hat. Whoops, I messed up there. It's always so funny how you mess up when you're doing things in front of people. Do y'all notice that? I could use my little scribe and fix that. But I'm not gonna worry about doing that. Now, let's say this cookie is dry and I still want to add a little bit more. What I could do is once it's dry, I can take my icing and I can just squeeze little bubbles on top in various places. You know, just to add, this one's not round and I don't like that. Just to add a little bit more dimension to the cookie. Now, you certainly don't have to do that. You don't want your bubbles to touch though, because then they won't be bubbles anymore. They'll just become one blob. Okay, so I love the way that looks. If you all can see that. Can you see that? I think it just adds really an element of super duper fun. Now after this was dry, I just used an edible marker and I drew his face, but of course you could do that with icing too. But that's the little snowman. And then the next cutter is this one. And all I did is I just took the icing that I use and I wrote these words across the front. Now, I did this honestly with my projector, but since you all are awesome at making stencils, you could totally make a stencil to do this. If you did not have a projector, just some little hints, I would start at the middle of my cookie and look at my word cheer. And I know that the E is in the center. So I would start with my E and then I would do the letters on either side. And then I would go up to bright and do the same thing. I would know that my, you know, the middle of my E needs to be right below my I and my G. And that way, if you start in the center of your cookie and then you work your way up and you think about where the middle of your letter is, you can do a great job. And this is just my handwriting. It's nothing fancy, but I think it's really, really cute. With the words that match the snowman. Now here is a dry wreath, just so you can see something a little bit different. You could do the same thing that I did a minute ago. You could come after it's dry and you could do some little dots on top, which are just going to give you, it's just going to give you more dimension to your cookie. And I really love the way that that looks. And when I make my dots, I'm just not really moving my tip of my bag. I'm just squeezing, and that makes a really good round dot. And maybe a little bit of yellow here. I'll do a few yellow ones. And we'll just leave it like that. So we are done with that. Now, the other thing that Nancy helped me that I want to show you all is with a PYO. So I created an image for a PYO cookie because I love paint your own cookies because I used to be an art teacher. And so this is the image. I'm going to put it on my website, but it's of a little snowman with the dotted scarf. And I'm going to show you all. Let's see if I can do it with the pressure of being live. Show you how I stencil my PYOs. I have black in the bag, and I'm going to leave a little bit of room at the bottom in case I wanted to add my color that you could paint with right on the PYO. I'm going to show you another option here in just a second, but I'm just going to use my black icing. And you can use a stencil holder for this too, but I really just honestly like holding it with my hand. And then we pray a little bit because we don't want it to move. And then I like this Genie's Dream, this little scraper right here. It's plastic. I think it works really good. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to scrape my black icing. And we're going to hope that this works. So now we're going to pray a little bit and then lift it up. It worked. Yay, it worked. Now, I could let this dry. I mean, it's not perfect right there, but it's good. It's good. It's perfect. We're going to let this dry, and then you can do a couple of things. One thing you could do is you could get some little dots that you make out of royal icing. And let me show you what I mean. Like, I'll get one there in my dehydrator. You get some little dots. You just make them out of royal icing. You let them dry, and then you airbrush them, and you can put the dots at the bottom of your PYO in the different colors. And then the person who has it just, puts their color on those dots and they color their picture, which is great. Now, another awesome thing to do is to get these really cheap. These are from the dollar store. And you just put a little bit of gel color in them, and then you just let them dry. And if you want to sell these as a family set or PYOs, these are perfect because lots of kids could use one of these. So that's my little cookie set and my PYO set. I'll show you some of my favorite ones from my shop because I just remembered that I had them in my freezer. I have a little ornament set. So look, he's all glistening because he's been frozen. That's my little fox, and here's my polar bear. And I have a penguin and the cutest Santa, but I think one of my kids ate him. And a little cute little Rudolph. But if you all want to go to my Instagram is the Cheerful Baker. You can see tons of cookies that I've decorated. And also go follow Sweet Treat Therapy by Fresia because she decorates tons of my cookies, my cookie cutters. Here's one that I'm working on today for Valentine's Day. I have a whole big Valentine's set, but I thought these could be kind of cute for Christmas. So let me take this off again. Here's the one, the bubble one. Then there's the little PYO. And there's the snowman that you all learned to make. And then there's the wreath. And then here's the sign. So I think that's it. Let me figure out how to flip you all back over. I don't know how to do it. Oh, here we go.
I'm just talking away and you can't hear me, can you? I said,
Now I can.
that's okay. I said, it's technology and we just roll with it. We just went, oh, there you are. Okay. We went dark for just a minute. So, one question that you had, I muted myself because my dogs are in here kind of walking around. And
Yeah.
one question was, can you explain how you made the paint palettes again?
Yes. Okay, so the paint palette, here it is right here. This is what I was telling my husband to get me earlier. It's from the dollar store. And you just take gel color and you just squirt a little dot of gel color. And then I'll let it dry out for a couple days. And then you just package it in a plastic bag. And then you get those little inexpensive paintbrushes and you just add a little bit of water. And these are great if somebody is buying a lot of PYOs because then they can share this paint palette. But this one, the one that I just did, this one, what you do is you take leftover icing and you just make little dots. And you can do it on wax paper and then you let them dry. And then you spray them. So you'd make a whole sheet of dots, then you'd spray them all red, and then a whole sheet of dots, spray them all blue. And then it's a paint palette. I mean, it's a little paint chip, and you put it on top of your PYO. So you would glue a blue one and a red one. We're pretending like these are blue and red. And then the child can just touch that color and they can paint.
Yeah.
So I do lots of these with my leftover icing because everybody, you always have leftover white. So I just blob some on a little sheet and save them for when I need them.
So, Pearl, I have on my YouTube channel a video. It's kind of a sped up video of me making those little paint palette dots. So, if you go to YouTube, you can search for the colorful cookie and you can watch that video there. But it's really simple to do with just royal icing. And you can put that on a piece of mylar, or do you use parchment? What do you use, Lauren, underneath yours? Do you use mylar?
You know what I use? I use these bags from Clear Bags, and they're I can't remember exactly what they're made out of, but they're actually they're they're like archival quality paper.
Acid free. And you can use acetate, you can use mylar, you can, so if you like, I don't like to throw things away, so frosting sheets, if you use frosting sheets, you pull the backing off of that, you can use that, save those. You can use some people use parchment paper, people use different things. So you can just try a variety of things and see what works for you. But if you make stencils, you can use any of your stencil material too.
Okay. That works the best is the stencil material. That really, parchment doesn't work too good because it wrinkles when it gets wet. I don't like using parchment.
It does, and it takes them longer to dry, I think, on parchment. Yeah. I don't know why, but so yeah, that yes, okay. And I think Karen says when you were at CookieCon, you were telling us how you love to paint on cookies and you inspired her to try to do it more.
Good.
Let's see. What was I going to tell you? I was thinking of something while you were talking. Oh, I posted all of your links to your shop, your Instagram, Facebook.
Thank you, Nancy.
Boxes. You're welcome. The BRP boxes, I shared that link. I can't remember. Oh, and coupon code. I posted the coupon code Nancy, all lowercase, after the live.
Yes.
She'll set up the code for 50% off until tomorrow evening about this time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or I usually, you know what time I go to bed, Nancy? I usually am sound asleep by now. So
what?
It's ridiculous. I get up at 5 in the morning. I go to bed at 8:30. I mean, it's the most old lady thing ever. So I'll stay until tomorrow night, but it might be the next morning, depending on when I fall asleep.
Okay. You know what? I do not sometimes go to sleep till 2 o'clock, and I wake up at 7:30. It's crazy. I have to stop that.
You
But
do.
I know. I
Come
think
hang out with me for a while. We'll
my
be going to bed
ideas,
at 8:32.
my ideas hit me. All my ideas hit me late at night. I don't think early in the morning. I've always been like that. So
Isn't that fascinating? Because it's opposite for me.
yeah, yeah, it's the opposite for most people. I just don't know why I've always been like that. But Lauren, thank you very much for coming on and doing the tutorial and providing that artwork for us and giving us a discount code and being so happy and spreading cheer.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, I'm glad.
Listen, my husband appreciates it too, because you should see how I looked most of the day. It wasn't this. It was sweatpants and hair up and no makeup and
Well, if we work at home, we can look like that.
that's right.
Sometimes I do too. But I love having cook ears on, and I try to do it as often as I can. I love my club, and it keeps me super, super busy. And then, of course, Cookie-Con, when I get to teach there, that keeps me busy, and Cookie-A-Thon. And I just try to kind of intermingle my guests in there along the way on my page. So I'm so glad you could come on with us. Are you going to try to go to Reno?
No, I'm not. No, it's my son's. It's right around his birthday and spring break, and so I think I'm going to spend money on my kids instead of myself.
I totally understand that,
but I'll go to the one in the fall for sure. But I think maybe I'll skip this one. Although I wasn't going to go to the last one either. And my friends were like, come on, come on, come on.
Let's
and
go.
I mean, the next thing I know, I'm there. So you never know. I might be there.
Yeah. Well, I hope that I get to meet you at some point at one of them anyway. So
you too.
All right, you guys, let's see. What else do we have? I see comments here. Thank you for sharing your gifts. Oh, Maxine. She keeps the same hours. Okay. Thank you. Now you need to go on a date since you're all dressed up and spiffy, Karen says. But
that's right. Except I got to go to bed.
Yeah, but she said her husband's working out in the garage, so he's probably not going to want to go on a date tonight. Thank you, Jeanette. Sweet cookie dreams to you too. Okay, Jenny says thank you. She loves your cheerful personality.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, guys. Okay, Lauren. So we'll tell them bye. You stay on so we can chat for just a minute. And
okay,
I'll see my club members in the club. Everybody else, just keep a watch out in the Cookie-A-Thon group and here for when I go live again. And don't forget to follow Lauren on Instagram and Facebook so that you can find her and then visit her shop and use that coupon code.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.